So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be talking about former Wild 'N Out girl Jacky O passing away from cosmetic surgery. Now, I know I'm late. I have been on vacation. I haven't posted in like 3 weeks. I also was in Miami for Afro Nation, which I'll talk about in another video, but I'm back now. Nonetheless, I really wanted to talk about this topic because it further gives credit to the theme of some of my former videos. I've talked about body positivity. I've talked about pressures from society with body image. I've talked about the seemingly normal practice of getting cosmetic work done by many women in today's times. And although sometimes the backlash or the approach to that concept is people feeling that it's hating or body shaming or not being empathetic with somebody's insecurities, I think the honesty of conversations dealing with this topic is that there are risks involved. And not all of the risks are things like not being satisfied with your body after or having some type of botched end result. Some of the risks are fatal, like in this case here. So Jacky O is the girlfriend and baby mother to Wild 'N Out comedian DC Young Fly. I would see them here and there on social media. I never really kept up with them, I'll be honest, but I did know that they were together and they also had children. They met back in 2015 and have 3 kids together. So it's very unfortunate that while going for a cosmetic procedure to get a mommy makeover, she ends up losing her life. And a mommy makeover is basically consisting of targeting the areas that are most affected by childbirth. So the stomach and waistline, arms, legs, and hips, it's pretty much a head-to-toe revitalization. Personally, I feel like the mommy makeover has been a trendy way to market altering your body and your new post-child insecurities. I mean, the term seems like it's subtle or doable, but if you look at the medical and surgical ramifications of what it is, that is a lot of work being done to the body. Sometimes I feel like people don't consider how much trauma the body goes through when you're doing something like a BBL or lipo or injectables. I remember when I used to watch Dr. Miami back in the day on Snapchat when he was like super popular. And one time he was showing how they do liposuction and he was moving the liposuction device with a lot of force in his hands. And he's a grown man. So I can only imagine how much pain somebody's body would be in and how much rigor it is on the body after surgical procedures like this. And I've said it in past videos that BBLs are the most dangerous and the most deadly cosmetic procedure that there is. And although we see examples here and there of certain undesirable results, we seldom see a very public example of one of the very possible outcomes, such as losing your life. So for Jacky O, this is very unfortunate. I mean, this is super sad because there's young children involved, it's very public, and worst of all, it's all of the sudden. So I wanted to talk about this situation because it does fit right into some of the previous conversations I've had, and it's another cautionary tale for a lot of girls and women out there who currently exist in such an image-based pressure pot society. So I've broken this video down into one overall main talking point, so without further ado, let's get right into this video. So starting off, the pressure of body image have created a pressure pot that has finally boiled over. That's really my first sentence because I can't really think of even a way to summarize my first talking point. Y'all know I do have to come up here and say, I told you so. And definitely not directly towards Jacky O because I would never be that insensitive, but just a simple fact that conversations about body image and surgical enhancements have to continue because the risks are very high. At this point, I think everybody knows somebody who's gotten some type of surgical procedure. And I would confidently say that if you are between the ages of 18 and 40, you know somebody personally who has gotten a BBL or liposuction. We're living in a society that tells women that they have to look a certain way to be deemed a certain level of attraction. And like I said, this isn't anything new. Body types and body trends have existed for so long. The only difference between now and then are 2 things. One being that we live in the digital era of social media, so the constant projection of what we should adhere to is at our fingertips at all times. And 2, the accessibility gap between those who historically would get cosmetic work has blurred because now surgery is not necessarily more affordable, but definitely more common practice and less secretive to the general public. However, we see it more times than not carried out by those who have more wealth and more celebrity. Jacky O was a woman who was pretty well known in her industry of entertainment. She was young, she was only 33, she was a mother, and a pretty recognizable social media figure. And so she's plastered to be somebody whose life is presumably opulent, better than average, and picture perfect. She had a YouTube channel in which she blogs her lifestyle, and I never watched her prior to her passing, I'll be honest, but looking at old clips, she seems very likable and very family oriented. And so because she has a more positive perception, I think that correlates to the desire and yearning to maintain that positive perception. And part of it is about your image and what you look like. I mean, is it necessary or mandatory? No, but is it promoted and encouraged? definitely yes. I read somewhere that she used to speak about being natural or just adjusting to her new body after having kids and basically trying to stay unenhanced for a while. But I do believe that the pressure of insecurity does grow. I feel like I'm someone who is very secure with what I look like, but being more publicized, like for example, doing things like putting out my first music video and being in front of the camera, or just being outside more and meeting some of my fan base, that type of stuff can take someone who is confident and take them down a few levels, because you are essentially being forced to see yourself on a more visible platform and consequently give yourself more personal critiques. Now, I can't say exactly what was going through Jacky's mind that led her to get this surgery, but I do think based off of precedent, there's a lot of women who don't feel the same or have a hard time accepting their bodies after childbirth and resort to cosmetic surgery. And I want to touch on that. I wish we could normalize or maybe re-accept the idea of post-child bodies, because I don't think it was that big of a deal even 20 years ago. I think people were way more accepting and appreciative of women who would gain weight or change in size or look different after having children. From the stretch marks to the bigger breasts to things being a little bit more elastic, I wish we could re-accept that into society. The idea of snapping back has really plagued women's mindsets, even those who don't have kids. Like sometimes I'm at the gym and I'm like, let me make sure I work out really, really hard, because one day when I decide to settle down, get married, and have kids, I probably won't be in the body that I am in now. And I'll be honest with y'all, it does place a little bit of fear in me. Not because I can't accept my next stage of what I look like, but because I feel that snapping back has been marketed to women in a way that's almost mandated. If you ask me, being able to snap back was always a scam. I just don't think a lot of women realized it in the beginning. And I say that because maybe 10 years ago or so, when we would see celebrities or public figures post themselves after having a child, we would always hear them talk about their snapback game, or the comments would be praising women for snapping back after having a kid and looking as if they didn't have a child. So I believe that it's one of those terminologies that has been ingrained into the mindset of women over the past decade or so, because not only are we so much more image-based than we used to be, but we're also so casual about having surgery. And that's the problem. Everybody thinks surgery is a quick fix or something that you can just resort to because it's popular, but nobody really thinks about the consequence of going under the knife and unnecessarily changing your body in a way that really isn't healthy. So I read this comment on another YouTube video about this topic, and it said, your body isn't meant to support a different shape or weight than it can naturally build on its own, and it's not meant to hold fat from other parts of the body. You're forcing your DNA to do what it's not programmed to do within a few hours. That is a big shock. There's no elderly people with implants and fat transfers. Our age group are the guinea pigs. How will your body's joints, hearts, and metabolism handle extra unnatural weight and implants when you're 50, 60, and 70? Stop doing this to your bodies. Now, the commentator in me wants to give you the disclaimer saying that I don't care what people do with their bodies and to each their own, but I feel like because surgery has become so normalized, speaking against it or at least encouraging people to not do it as a first resort has now been deemed as hating, shaming, and chastising women. People now say that you're trying to police what a woman does to their body. But I think that rhetoric is a lot more detrimental, because when you have the risk of actually losing your life, there is no forewarning that is too invasive for simple conversations about cosmetic work. Every doctor will tell you that there is a risk with surgery. Every doctor will have you sign release forms about surgery for a reason, because there is a risk there. But I say all of that to say that the idea of snapping back has really hindered women from embracing what children give women's bodies in a lot of cases. There are some women that genetically do snap back. They do look the same after having kids. And there's some women who, after they have a child, they never return back to their pre-baby body. The issue is we don't allow both to coexist, and it resulted in an increase of stories similar to Jacky O. My deepest condolences to her family, and especially those 3 children, because for obvious reasons, this is unfortunate, but for honest reasons, this is preventable. Anything could have happened. She could have recovered beautifully and we would have never been talking about this, but unfortunately that wasn't the case here, and it's a cautionary tale. I feel like every day I see surgery being talked about so casually, as if things like this can't happen, and it hurts me because I feel like women have been their own worst enemies for so long. Of course, we always have the threat of men and their approach to things that are only pertaining to women, but a lot of it is internal. Mental battles with your body is very hard, but it's also very common, and I think everybody has insecurities. insecurities. And every single time I say that, people get in my comments and say, no, I'm not insecure about anything. I don't have any insecurities. And although you may not have a physical insecurity, everybody has some type of insecurity, whether it's financial, mental, or even professional. Insecurities are so regular that it's crazy that these irregular practices to fix regular insecurities are appreciating. The last thing I wanted to touch on is that there's a narrative that she passed away on the surgery table. It seems to have been confirmed that that wasn't the case, that she did pass away after the surgical procedure and was found unresponsive in her hotel room. Anything could have happened, but it seems like her body rejected whatever procedure was done, and being that she had a baby less than a year ago, that could have possibly played a factor. I want this to be an open space for women to share their experience with recovering from cosmetic work and their experience from adapting to your bodily changes after having a kid, because I feel as though if more women were open about it and accepting of it, maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't be as taboo to not snap back. Childbirth is already a major change on the body of a woman, so of course your body is going to be different, but the response that society gives women after such a long-term and honestly impressive bodily function such as having a baby is pretty harsh, and the pressure that a lot of women put on themselves is even harsher. I also find it eerie that literally her last post on social media was about doing this mommy makeover. I mean, how ironic yet saddening is it that the final thing people will remember is that she was happily going into this surgery with high hopes and then didn't make it. The post reads, "Getting ready for my mommy makeover with Dr. Zach. Stay tuned on my YouTube for the full reveal." So this story is exactly why I talk about topics like this, and although some of y'all think I'm obsessed, I really do appreciate those who have encouraged me to keep speaking on this, because I see everyday women spending their last or even investing the money that they do have on their looks. And although I don't think it's wrong to invest in your looks, as I do the same, I do think it's very risky to take it as far as surgical enhancements. Prayers up to Jacky O and her family and her children. DC Young Fly is always like a funny guy, laughing and smiling, joking, and usually being completely unserious. So it is unfortunate that somebody who usually brings happiness and laughter to his audience is grieving a very painful situation and now has to take on the challenge of recuperating the lives of his children without their mother. So all of the teenage girls, all of the young women, all of the middle-aged women, and even all of the older women, I really beg y'all to stop letting the social media and societal norms of women's body image get you down. And I'm going to encourage that honestly, not to sound insensitive, but for people to go to the gym, diet, exercise, and take the healthy steps to getting the body that you want. Your mental peace of mind is something that you can't play with. And as much as I do resonate with every woman who has to sit in the mirror every day and pick themselves apart about something that they don't like, because I do that as well, I don't think going under the knife is ever worth it when the risk may not match the reward. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. If you haven't already, go stream my song Ceremony. It's out on all platforms, and the music video is now out and live on my YouTube channel. All of the links will be down below. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
Talk to him like